And welcome to another episode of the Tar Heels Insider Podcast right here on the On SI Network. I am your host, Grant Sasher. Of course, I am the lead beat writer of Tar Heels on SI. Right next to me on your screen is Jeremiah Artacha, who, of course, is our associate beat writer. He's done a great job. We've been releasing a lot of content on the site, whether it's football, whether it's basketball, even baseball, and some other sports. But of course, the main focus has been football and basketball, but especially football, as they just finished up the ACC kickoff event, or to be more informal, the ACC Media Days, and that just finished up. So we released most of our articles from that. I'm still have to release 2 articles from that, of course, because UNC is there's rumors out there that they may be joining the SEC probably as early as 2030, when some of the contractual years slim down, because you'll get to $75 million flat, which is more manageable if a team wants to leave the ACC. So I already released an article about my initial reaction to it. Just kind of giving details of why UNC is a favorable athletic program or a favorable university to go to the SEC. Because of their athletic success, and especially since some of the moves they've been making seem like they're veering towards a move in the SEC, so make sure to go check that out. And also, I'm going to release 2 more articles, whether the UNC fits better in the Big Ten or the SEC, and also the impact on the Duke and North Carolina rivalry. Of course, Jeremiah has been doing a lot of great content as well, and the topic we're talking about today, he's going to actually write about extensively pretty soon here. And that player we are talking about is Caleb Wilson. Caleb Wilson is the crown jewel of the 2025 recruiting class for Hubert Davis and the North Carolina program. He's a guy that is a double-double machine. He averaged 20 points and 10 rebounds in high school. He averaged no lower than 3 blocks a game throughout his career. He can shoot the ball well from the perimeter. He can score on the inside. He can block shots. He can steal the ball. He's just a great all-around forward. And a lot of people have some high expectations for this freshman. And you get to see him go to action first against AJ Dybantsa from BYU in that exposition game that North Carolina's going to earn $500,000 for. But Jeremiah, just over this offseason, as we keep hearing Caleb Wilson's name. What are your expectations for Caleb Wilson going into this basketball season?
Yeah, so even though he's going to be a freshman, he's going to be a young player on the team, and he's listed as a 5-star on 247 Sports, a 99 rating at that. But he's definitely going to be a great player for Hubert Davis, and Hubert Davis' 5th season as the head coach of this basketball program, and he's going to be a crucial piece in the front court alongside Arizona transfer Henry Vasar. And he's similar to Harrison Ingram that UNC had a couple seasons ago that's now playing for the San Antonio Spurs right now. And why I say that, they have similar play styles and how they can come off screens, they can set screens, they have good ball handle, and just a very versatile forward player. So that's just gonna open up a lot of space for Caleb Wilson and the rest of his teammates to drive or spread the floor and shoot threes beyond the arc. So it's gonna be very exciting. UNC fans should be anticipating a great season from him, and he's also projected a lottery pick in next year's NBA draft. So high expectations for the player out of Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah, he's, from looking at his highlights, he's just an awesome player and somebody that can contribute to North Carolina right away. And they need all the contributions right away. This is a make-or-break season for Hubert Davis. And, of course, he's kind of had it up. He's had a pretty up and down time in Chapel Hill. Of course, his alma mater. First year they go to the Final Four and eventually the National Championship game, where they narrowly lost against Kansas. And the next year they were the preseason number 1. But they went from being the preseason number 1 and recreating that very, very famous Dean Smith Sports Illustrated cover where he's drawing ball on the board and the players are watching the back. They actually did that with Hubert Davis and some of the players on that team, and they went from that with all those high expectations on them to being a 20-13 team that missed the NCAA tournament. Then the following year, they were able to bounce back. They won the ACC regular season championship and lost in the Sweet 16. But then last year, they had another tough year, 23-14. And of course, they made it to the tournament. They had to play in the first four, which is something that I don't think whenever you mention North Carolina basketball in the tournament, I don't think you mention, oh, hey, they're playing a first four game against San Diego State. And then, well, of course, they won that one, but they got bounced by Ole Miss in the first round. Very disappointing year. Of course, Hubert Davis wants to bounce back with that. And they're going to have a tough time early on because, of course, you got Kansas, Kentucky, Michigan State, and Ohio State as a part of that non-conference schedule.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, but not only Caleb Wilson is the key for this team. They need a guy like that to rise up. They need a difference maker because they really haven't had now, Armando Bacot was a difference maker, but there's only so much you could. He was a rebounding machine. He's got interior presence on the inside, but Caleb Wilson can bring more than what Armando Bacot brings. And they not only need size, but they need athleticism. They need guys who can score in different ways, and that's Caleb Wilson in a nutshell. I mean, he might be the most important player on the team. Yes, I know Seth Trimble's on this. I know Seth Trimble's on the team, and I know Henry Visar has a chance to be great along with Caleb Wilson in the front court. But it just looks more and more like this season kind of revolves around how Caleb Wilson plays.
Yeah, Caleb Wilson is definitely going to be an impact player, along with Seth Trimble, given that he's a senior now, his final ride in Chapel Hill. But definitely Caleb Wilson will be a focal point in the offense. I mean, he can work his defender on the block, and that will be a crucial piece, I feel like, within Hubert Davis's offense. So I expect there will be a lot of times where, like, for example, Kyan Evans or Seth Trimble are around the wing on the three-point line and they see Caleb Wilson posting up his man on the block. I can see very much that they dump the ball down and let him work on the block and see what happens from there. So he's going to be a focal piece in the offense. He's going to generate a lot of points, but I feel like more importantly for Hubert Davis is that if he grabs a lot of rebounds, which has always been a staple of Carolina basketball. So Caleb Wilson will be a crucial piece alongside Henry Vesar, who's a 7-footer from Arizona. He played well in his last year in Tucson, but he wasn't a starter, so Henry Vesar is also stepping up into a big spotlight as potentially the starting center for this coming season.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's just not only just how Caleb Wilson is not only important for this North Carolina team on the court, but he means a lot for North Carolina off the court. Of course, North Carolina is looking at a bunch of wings right now. Of course, Cole Clore is somebody that's been mentioned a lot. You also have Maximo Evans, who North Carolina's after tremendously. Anthony Thompson is another guy, very similar skill set to Caleb Wilson that North Carolina's after from the state of Ohio. You need a guy like Caleb Wilson to really come through for this program because, to have a fresh impact player that's a freshman to ball out for you, that will pay tremendous dues because not only you look at the class of 2026, but the class of 2027 is scary as well. I mean, 3 of the top 25 players in the class of 2027 are from North Carolina, including the number 1 player in Cole Prosser.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the recruiting for UNC is looking to be a lot more in-state when normally a lot of the recruiting has been done out of state. I mean, for example, R.J. Davis, he's from New York, White Plains, New York. Look at Armando Bacot, the all-time leading rebounder of UNC. He's from Richmond, Virginia. There has been a lot of out-of-state product coming into UNC over the past years, but it's definitely a nice change of pace if Hubert Davis is able to collect players in-state. So definitely exciting.
Yeah, it's just a very exciting time for North Carolina high school basketball. The fact that look, North Carolina's always had some big time prospects, but this is the first time in a while we have 3 of the top 25 players from the state of North Carolina in here. But I'm not sure how much you've been following recruiting, but which players do you think that North Carolina cannot pass upon? Or not pass upon, they have to get. you know.
Yeah, there are a lot of names, but I definitely feel like, let's see. Well, I know you did an article on Quinn Costello. He's important down the line. But yeah, UNC definitely has a lot of key pieces that they definitely are looking forward to beyond the years of Seth Trimble, beyond the years of Caleb Wilson, who's arguably going to be a one and done after this season. So definitely looking forward to the upcoming classes already for the 2026 and 2027, who are going to be crucial in order to fill in the missing talent that UNC is going to lose
Yeah.
pretty soon.
Yeah, Cole Caesar Roster, my bad. That's what I was referring to earlier. He is the number one player from the state of North Carolina. But you also have Jordan Page, shooting guard from Brown High School in Raleigh, which not right up the road. Number two in the state, and of course L.J. Smith, who is number 27. I said number 25. This is right outside the top 25, and then of course R.J. Moore. You can't forget about out of Huntersville, North Carolina, number 55. This is all according to 24/7. I know we're all waiting for North Carolina to finally land that prospect. But what I was gonna say, yeah, but we're all waiting for North Carolina to finally land that prospect. Of course, we're all waiting. They're going to land one eventually. Recruiting's a lot like fishing, where you might get a few nibbles, but you're waiting for that bite. And even if you get that bite, it still that means he will come to your school. But how big, how big of a recruiting year this could possibly be for North Carolina, especially given all the, I wouldn't say negative, but it's been a mixed bag, right? We have mentioned the previous podcast. Not only do you have John Shire at Duke, who's a great recruiter, one of the biggest reasons why Duke was able to recruit as well as they did near the end of Coach K's tenure at Duke. But also you have Will Wade, who's another fantastic recruiter as well. Now he's the head coach at NC State. How important of a year this has to be for Hubert Davis to maintain his foothold, not only in the state of North Carolina, but also just in the national scene, because you have two fantastic recruiters and a 10 to 15 mile radius.
Yes, just take a look at recent Tar Heels Ian Jackson, who was a 5-star coming out of high school, who's now with St. John's coming in or this next season. He was anticipated to be a one and done himself, but things took a turn of its own, and he did well for a good stretch of games last season. He was on fire, for lack of a better term, and just didn't end up working well for Hubert Davis. And then another player, Elliot Cadeau, he stayed 2 seasons in Chapel Hill, also a 5-star, and some believe that he would also be a one and done when he came in. He even reclassified, so he played a year earlier when he should have been a senior in high school to start off his college career. But personally, I would say that the recruiting for Hubert Davis is, with the exception of Caleb Wilson, of course, the recruiting is not on the high end for what it's worth right now. So definitely it's going to be important for Caleb Wilson to be utilized correctly so that incoming prospects, those 5-stars and 4-stars, could see like, oh, okay, Caleb Wilson is getting used correctly as a freshman. Maybe I can have that same kind of production if I go there as well.
Yeah, like I said, Caleb Wilson, of course, is important not only for on the court but also off the court. All great points, Jeremiah. And also, and that's the thing. Like, you need, if Caleb Wilson has a flat year, like he could even have a good year, but it's not a year where you're like, oh wow, you're like, oh wow. Now you're just like, oh, okay. You can't afford to have. Of course, you had Elliot Cadeau. That was a major disappointment for North Carolina last year. And you see that. You see that at Duke, even after Coach K left, you would think that the aura would go with him. The aura's still there. Coach K still has aura, but that aura at Duke is still there. Like, John Shire's recruited his butt off, and that's the reason why Duke has, in his first years on the job, have been to an Elite Eight and have been to a Final Four, and really should have been the national championship game last year. And right now you look at NC State. They just hired Will Wade. Will Wade has always been known as a great recruiter, right? He made LSU a serious threat in the SEC when before he got there, they were an afterthought. Matter of fact, I think it was 5 or 6 years before I think it was in 2011. LSU literally recruited a dude off the band to play center for them. I'm not even joking. That's how bad the recruiting was at LSU at one point. Now,
Wow.
it improved under Johnny Johnson. Of course, they were able to get Ben Simmons, but it never. But like LSU never was able to combine great coaching with great recruiting. And Will Wade was a combination of both, and that's why they're able to win. And now he's going to NC State, which also has a lot of potential. I know NC State is the redheaded stepchild compared to Duke and North Carolina, but he's a great recruiter. The NC fan base will love him because he's a tenacious recruiter, and he will always stick up for the program and his players. But not only that, now he has more resources than he did at LSU, believe it or not. And I think he'll do well at NC State. And then you're looking at UNC, yes, and they have been solid. They haven't been bad, like the Doherty years. Of course, I think that was before you were born, Jeremiah, and also that I was 2 or 3 when that happens. But when USC fans talk about the lowest of lows, that's the era they're going to mention, right? And that's ultimately now that was ultimately also a good thing because of course you're able to bring back Roy Williams back to the state of North Carolina, but you don't want that to happen. And right now, UNC fans are worried about this program falling behind, which is the same. I mean, when is the last time you even said, "Well, wow, North Carolina's really behind"? It was probably the early 2000s, and North Carolina does not want to go back to the Doherty to a Doherty-esque era.
Yeah. I mean, me personally, one of the moments or seasons, I should say, that is like a low light for this UNC basketball program is the 2019-2020 season. I mean, Armando Bacot's first year, Cole Anthony's first year. I mean, Justin Pierce was on that team, Christian Keeling, Garrison Brooks as a junior. Garrison Brooks was the star of that team, even though Cole Anthony was there. But Cole Anthony was injured for a good amount of that season, and he was cheering from the sidelines. But yeah, that season was one of a kind. I mean, that's when the rise of our recent pandemic, COVID, was happening. There wasn't any NCAA tournament at the end of that season, and then it felt like game after game, the UNC was losing, and especially in tough, heartbreaking moments for sure. And if you're a UNC fan, it's hard to imagine if you had any joy watching that team that season. And some were even questioning if Roy Williams still had the coaching ability that he always shown throughout the rest of his career from the past.
Yeah, it's kind of funny you say that because literally the year before that. Well, I mean, now they got knocked. I think they got knocked in the second round, but I mean, they were still a great.
Oh yeah, Sweet 16. Yeah.
They were number one seed, but the year before that.
Oh yeah.
The next year they went 19-11, and I think at that moment in time, he knew it was time to step down. Right? You still want, he wanted to step down at the right moment, and you really, I think you see the differences in between Roy Williams and Coach K's retirement, because I wish they kind of would have retired together to make it just more because but Rory did the Dean Smith was like, yeah, I'm done. I don't need a celebration or whatever. It's like, I'm done. Hey, here's the keys, man. Take over. And then Coach K is like putting out this, hey, I'm retiring, and it's just like a year-long tour of
it was
Coach K, and senior night happened. Which, by the way, I just want to say this: what is up with Duke? And this is something I just found out since I've been, because I got the job earlier this month, and of course I've been researching a lot about the UNC Duke rivalry, which I already knew a good bit about, but I still want to do research to know more about it. And one of the things I've learned is that for some reason, Duke and UNC always have their senior nights against one another. And I'm like thinking to myself, why, for Coach K's last game, why would you schedule it against North Carolina when North Carolina has been notorious for ruining people's senior nights, right? In 2006, Tyler Hansborough went off against Duke on J.J. Redick's senior day. And it's just like, what is up with that? It's like, why you keep doing that to yourself? And then it leads to that disaster, or disaster for Duke and a awesome night for North Carolina. I mean, Duke just does it to themselves, man. They really do.
Yeah, it it was a very special moment for UNC. I mean, they came in, they were arguably against the world, some believed, and they just came into Cameron Indoor Stadium. It was a packed out house. There were a bunch of celebrities. Adam Silver was there. Tickets were going up for thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. They had a whole alumni crew sitting in Cameron Indoor Stadium, like towards the lower level, all sporting the same shirt. I mean, UNC and Duke has always been playing the last game of the ACC conference right before the ACC tournament begins. So that's always been a commonality throughout all the years up until now. But yeah, I mean, it was very interesting. And then in even though it was senior year, I'm pretty sure if I recall correctly that Hubert Davis, well not Hubert Davis, excuse me, Coach K did not start his seniors because Paulo Banchero that year that started as well, but he was a freshman. So it wasn't really the typical senior night where all the senior players were starting.
Well, yeah, I mean, because Coach K completely I mean, he shifted his because for a while it used to be like North Carolina, we just play the seniors. Of course, we'll have that one or two great freshmen to start on the lineup. But when probably I would say the early 2010s, at first started with Kyrie. That's when we started recruiting more of the one and done guys. So you really didn't see that anymore. Too, you still saw that in North Carolina because that's really what the program believes in. They were one of the first ones to let players leave early, but they never. But North Carolina's never really been known as a program where there's a big time freshman and he leaves after 1 year. I mean, you can even Harrison Barnes, right?
Yeah, he stayed for 2 years.
Right? I mean, there's a lot. I mean, think about all the great players throughout USC's history. How many of them were one and dones? Besides maybe Kobe White. That's
Yeah,
it.
Kobe White.
Like Kobe White, maybe
Oh,
maybe one or two other players. Like what's
yeah, Kobe
Nasir Little.
White. Kobe
Nasir Little.
White. Yeah, Kobe White, Nasir Little, one and dones. Dayron Sharp the following year was a one and done.
Yeah, but he wasn't a notable one. Like, I mean, he was a good player, but he wasn't like, I would say he was like Nasir Little and Kobe White were their lottery picks. Maybe he was. I don't know. I'm just learning about North Carolina's program. But go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, Dayron Sharp. He was compared by Roy Williams to Tyler Hansbrough in the aspect of rebounding. So that says a lot. Yeah. So yeah, he had a very high motor, and then of course this past season Drake May, or excuse me, Drake Powell, Drake May, the QB of New England Patriots right now. Drake Powell from Pittsburgh, North Carolina. He just went with the Brooklyn Nets,
Yeah.
the number 22 overall pick of this year's draft. So he was originally drafted by the Atlanta Hawks, but then traded to the Brooklyn Nets. So Drake Powell is the first Tar Heel to be drafted in the first round since Dayron Sharp. So there's a small time in between, but yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, there really aren't a whole lot of, guys, like an Anthony Davis or a Derrick
No,
Rose or
no.
even like a Karl Anthony Towns. I mean, think about some of the great one and done throughout history. I mean, even Drake Powell was drafted 22nd, right? You know what I'm saying? I'm talking like North Carolina never really has had that player where like he jumps off the screen. I mean, really, Caleb Willis could be that guy, and that's saying a lot, and that's the type of hype he has around him. I mean, besides Nasir White, Nasir White, Kobe White, Nasir Little, and Marvin Williams. I mean, Marvin Williams may have been the first one. I mean, if you really think about Marvin Williams, was the first one because he went one and done, and he was a sixth man. He was a sixth man. Played a
Yeah.
lot, but he didn't played a lot, but he was never a every game starter. He was the sixth man for North Carolina that year and was incredible to the point where he was drafted second overall in 2005. But like I said, there really hasn't been a lot of guys. Like, we're talking about one and done guys from North Carolina that jump out the screen and are lottery picks.
Oh
You
yeah.
hear me? Yeah, I was making sure you could hear me.
Oh yeah. No, but to Drake Powell's and on more about Powell, I mean, he played most of the season from at the four position, so he was playing out of position. I mean, courtesy of the lack of depth personnel that Hubert Davis had on his roster. I mean, there wasn't really a true big man, so I mean, who knows if Drake Powell played at his natural position at the shooting guard or that small four position? Who knows? could have ended up as a lottery pick. I mean, but we'll never know since it's all said and done now. But
Yeah.
yeah, Drake Powell, he has a lot of upside given his crazy athleticism, crazy wingspan, and he's a very good driver. He can shoot it as well from the corner, but I definitely feel like in the NBA, if he continues to work on his jump shot, then he'll become a very solid 3 and D player, which a lot of NBA teams have on their roster. So it's always going to be good, and I feel like he can end up having a good NBA career.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, too, is like Caleb Wilson, can't be the guy. I mean, of course, Drake Powell, of course, was a great player for North Carolina last year, and maybe may even have a better career in the NBA than in college. I mean, we've seen that, right? SGA is a great example of that, right? Devin Booker, who's also a one and done player. He was a lottery pick, but he was the sixth man for Kentucky, right? And nobody really expected him to be Devin Booker today. Like he may have even had a better career than Cat, at this point. And nobody really thought that because he was the sixth man. So I mean, a lot of players can have better career. I mean, even Michael Jordan had a better career in the NBA than in college. Like he had a
Yeah.
fantastic college career. I mean, he's a top 5 North Carolina player of all time. But no one thought Michael Jordan, the college Michael Jordan, will ever become that Michael Jordan. And even countless people have said, even Roy Williams, who recruited him, like he wasn't the head coach, but he recruited in North Carolina. And he said multiple times, like he did not expect the Michael Jordan he saw in college to become that Michael Jordan.
Oh yeah,
So,
for sure,
I mean,
for
there's a
sure.
lot of great examples of guys just having great careers in college, but having like just extraordinary careers in the NBA.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the games are very different. I know it's the same sport, basketball is basketball, but the way the offensive systems work compared from the college game to the NBA. I mean, if the right player gets into the right system with the right head coach in the NBA, then their talents will just become more emphasized and enhanced than it was the year prior when they were in college. So it just works out. It works out for some, and then for others, it doesn't work out so much. So it's just all by what position that each player is in, and if they're able to execute within the system.
Yeah, exactly. And hopefully Caleb Wilson, of course, could play up in that system as well. Of course, systems. Basketball's a system game, right? And it depends. How that system plays into your strengths is very important. Regardless of what level it is, and hopefully Caleb Wilson can be that player, along with some other players that we just mentioned as they go in the NBA, right? So I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, Nas Reed, was a good player in college. And yeah, I'm an LSU guy. Nas Reed was a good college player. I didn't
Hmm.
expect him to be that Nas Reed in the NBA.
Yeah, he's doing well for
He was a
himself.
good player for LSU. I didn't expect him to become that, and it took him a little while to become that too. So I mean, it's all about how a system plays in your strengths. There's no and same thing with football. A lot of people mention, oh well, that guy's just an assistant quarterback. Well, if he's winning games and he's producing, that's a good thing. I mean, there's like every quarterback's a system quarterback, the same way that every single player on a basketball court is a system player. It's just how it's always been, and that individual player is great. So can Caleb Wilson benefit off of North Carolina's system and vice versa? We'll see this season, but we'll also get to see that against BYU to get a feel of what this UNC team can be. Because right off the gates, it doesn't get any easier, of course. Right? The first game is against Central Arkansas. The
Yep,
second game of
Central
the year
Arkansas,
is
Kansas.
against Kansas at the Dean Dome. So yeah, the top is going to get going right away. But anyway, that's going to wrap up today's show. I'm your host, Grant Sastre, joined here by Jeremiah Artacho. We are both beat writers for Tar Heels on SI. Make sure to follow us on Twitter. Our Twitter handles are right below our names on the screen. Also, make sure to follow us on Twitter and Facebook. We're producing a lot of great content each and every day. I would
Check
say
us out.
probably about 15 to 20 articles per day, because I know I got a good bit. You got a good bit, and I know
Oh yeah,
Caleb chimes in with 2 articles a day, and then
yeah,
Scott will
plenty of
chime in
articles.
sometimes. Yeah,
Yep,
I would say
plenty of
yeah,
articles.
15, 20 articles. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
stay tuned,
and
follow along, and we hope to provide you all with the best coverage.
and it's for free.
Yes, for free. No paywall. No paywall.
No paywall. So that's a great thing about reading us on SI. All on SI. Not even just our site, but all of the sites. Whether it's North Carolina, whether it's Duke, whether it's the Carolina Panthers, whether it's the Carolina Hurricanes. All of those pages are free. So make sure to check out. Make sure to check out Tar Heels on SI, but also make sure to check out those other sites as well because they're all free. But thanks so much for watching, and I'll be back tomorrow. Jeremiah's got some time off, and of course he joins me he's gonna be on here every weekend, and I'll go solo Monday through Thursday. Jeremiah and me Friday through Sunday, and I enjoy doing this. I enjoy doing this with Jeremiah, and we're
Oh
gonna
yeah,
have
a lot of fun.
and because next week we might be a little bit free, but I believe the first full week of August is when fall camp starts. So we gotta get
Oh yeah,
confirmation on that. They'll release everything pretty soon, but I'm very excited for this upcoming athletic season. We're getting closer and closer, and I can't wait to do with you,
it's going to be
Jeremiah, and also
crazy.
the rest of the team.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a wild time, but we hope to bring you all the best coverage, and we'll try to do our best day in and day out.
And that's it. See y'all later.
See ya.